John Harbaugh finally addresses the disturbing pattern of the Ravens failing to close games out in the fourth quarter, and his answer might surprise you. But before we get into that, if you are a Ravens fan and you're new to this channel, welcome to Flog Talk, your home for all things Baltimore Ravens football. Go ahead, hit subscribe, like the video, helps grow this channel. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the season. All we do is talk about your Baltimore Ravens right here. Now, let's get into today's video. John Harbaugh had his Monday press conference, and it was almost a 30-minute press conference. He was asked a ton of different questions, which we're going to be covering most of right here on this channel. But the one that really stuck out to me was he was asked about the trend of blowing leads in the fourth quarter over the last 4 seasons or so. And in perfect John Harbaugh fashion, this was his response.
When you guys do lose a fourth quarter lead, fans will link that to other games in which that's happened and say, oh, they have an issue with that. But do you even look at it that way, or do you look at it more as a sort of result of a lot of smaller things that happen in the game kind of add up to that, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no two things are the same, so I don't know. There's no way to pinpoint it exactly if that's what you're looking for. I'm not really kind of sure exactly how to answer the question other than to say that you can't give up 10-point leads in the fourth quarter. I mean, whatever happens to play consistent football, to make the plays that need to be made. I mean, a ball needs to get batted down, a sack needs to be made, a quarterback needs to get tackled, a player needs to get covered. A scramble drill, he needs to get plastered. Somebody needs to catch a pick, over the years. You look back, don't drop a pick. That didn't happen this game, but you know what I'm saying. Plays need to get made to get yourself off the field. Offenses don't take themselves off the field. You've got to get them off the field by the way you play, and I just feel like we just need to do a better job of that. I mean, that's something that we over the past 4 or 5 years, that's something that's been a difference. Now, the fact that you have so many leads in the fourth quarter probably lends itself to you're going to lose more leads than most teams. So I understand that part of it. But I also want to win those games. We all do. So we just need to do a better job with that.
So there you have it, Ravens Nation. It's not because of incompetent coaching at times or poor game planning or whatever the case may be. It's because they've had so many leads over the last 4 years that they were just bound to lose more of those games than most other teams would. I'm telling you, you cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Now, listen. I like John Harbaugh. I've made that very clear on this channel. I think he is a good coach. So keep that in mind when I'm saying this here. But that makes sense on the surface, sure. The problem with that is when you look at the teams following the Ravens on this list. Okay, if that were to be true, that just because you are leading in more games because you're a good team, that you're bound to lose more. So surely this list followed behind the Ravens are teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, the 49ers. Surely that's the case. You would be mistaken. Wrong again. The teams following behind the Ravens who have, I think it's 10 since 2020. 10 fourth quarter leads of 7 points or more that they have blown and lost. 10 in 4 years. Followed behind number 2, the Bears with 6 blown leads. Almost half by a team that has been absolute garbage during this time period. Followed the last 3, all have 5. Colts, Seahawks, Titans. Teams that we would consider middle of the pack to the back end of the league. No contenders, no great teams, no teams that have been dominant, such as the Chiefs, 49ers, Ravens. You get the point. So that doesn't add up, Coach. That doesn't add up at all. Because if that were the case, why aren't those teams on this list? No. You know who's behind the Ravens on this list? Bad teams or teams that have been average. No contenders. Look, this is what drives me nuts about John Harbaugh. And I like him as a coach. But so that's your excuse for consistently blowing games. It's not because the team habitually shoots itself in the foot in these games. If this were, every time I say this, there's usually somebody that says that I'm taking away from the other team. They went there, made the play. Sure, the team made the plays. But if happens this often, it's no longer just, well, you just happen to give up a player or two. This is the Ravens beating themselves, and the other teams make them pay for it. Whether it's untimely penalties, like in the last game, false starts, killing drives, or pass interference calls or turnovers because receiver can't catch the ball and it bounces off his hands and the defender makes a nice play on the ball, or a fumble, or the offense all of a sudden goes into kill the clock mode and they stop trying to score the ball and just hand the ball off to run the game out. And then they inevitably get stopped and then the defense gets put back on the field. Or it's the defense blowing coverage to a big play. Like, it's one thing after another, after another, after another. And to say that, oh, it's just because we continually have big leads, it's just, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. The other great teams should be on this list too, but they're not. It's just you. You are the only team that has been quote unquote dominant, at least regular season dominant, in this time period that's on this list. So to me, this comes from the top because it's a coaching issue. I'm not an expert, but when you have this many problems in this short a window and it's this consistent, it has to be an issue from the top. I'm sorry, it just does. So I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts in the comments? Do you agree with John Harbaugh that it's just because the Ravens have been so good the last few years during the regular season, they're just inevitably going to blow fourth quarter leads? Or do you think this comes down to a coaching or personnel issue? I want to know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for giving me just a few minutes of your day. If you enjoy these style of videos, I'm going to be clipping up his 30-minute press conference and giving you the most, what I consider to be the most interesting topics coming out of this, the things that I think most Ravens fans want to hear about. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit subscribe, like the video. Helps grow this channel. We're trying to hit 2,000 before the end of the season. And I'll see you all in the next video. Go Ravens.